Hello everyone, today we're going to be, it's Mark and Tamiel Kenney speaking about scaling your syndication business. A little bit of background about myself. I was doing IT consulting. I was a CPA for a while at an IT firm. I was buying small multifamily, typically 2 to 4 units, and it was about, I keep saying about 29 years ago actually. I was a senior in college. And I was working a lot of hours in my IT business, doing pretty well financially overall, at least I thought. But I really had no time. I was minimum hour, 80 hours a week, minimum. Tammy says 100, that's probably more accurate.
For 20 years.
Yeah, for 20 years essentially. I would sleep about 3 hours a night consistently. It caused a lot of issues, just not having time. I traveled a fair bit as well. So I'd say that we decided, but actually Tamiel decided back in about 2013 that we're gonna look at doing larger multifamily properties and syndicate deals is when we got started. And we are a married couple, and then we also, now we're partners in Think Multifamily, and yesterday we celebrated our 27th wedding anniversary, so it was good. So, Tamiel was 12 when I got married, so anyways.
Right. I have a background as a registered nurse and executive admin, and I'm a board member of a couple of nonprofits, orphanages and sex traffic rescuing and stuff like that. As far as the company goes, Think Multifamily buys primarily B and C class multifamily assets, 100 units or more, typically 100 to 300 units. We have over 90 transactions, 14,000 units purchased, $1 billion in assets, and we're currently in 12 states, Texas and the Southeast primarily. Last year alone, we purchased 5,000 units, and we raised $100 million in equity just last year. Our presentation today is going to talk to you about how to scale your syndication business quickly, 17 of our favorite tips and tricks about building a successful business, and how to monitor and manage your business.
So a lot of people will come to us in our group, get started, maybe they don't have the background or experience, they don't have relationships with brokers, maybe they don't have equity for the deal, or they don't have the net worth or liquidity that lenders will require, they just don't have the network. But we'll kind of walk through how a lot of people that don't have any of those things can still become successful by adding value, and we'll talk about the ways to do that as well. Also, people will say, well, I don't have enough time. Everyone has 24 hours in a day. You choose what you do with it, right? In reality, you might have to give something up. If you sit around and watch TV for 4 hours a day, at the end you might say, was it worth it? I don't know, probably not, maybe once in a great while, but not on a daily basis, because you're missing out on opportunities. People are busy with their job. That's probably not going to change. If you come and say, well, I want to help, and I have a W-2 job, and I need that job to support my family, in the short term, it probably won't change. I would also say you might have to just go slower. Someone doing it full time typically will go faster, but if you have a family and kids and a spouse, and you're the breadwinner, you're going to have to go slower. We had the same situation, right? I had an IT business making pretty good money. We didn't have to replace my entire income, but we wanted to replace about 50% of it to kind of still live, pretty decently. And it required us to go a little bit slower. It took us a year to find our first deal, which was very frustrating. And at the time, it was much easier to find deals back then. But that was frustrating for us. But we had to go slower because I wasn't going to just quit my IT business, even though I didn't like doing it, because I had a family to support.
But there was also a reason why it took us a year to find our first deal. Do you remember?
We were distracted.
We were also almost like shiny nickel. We were looking at storage. We were going to build a brand new big storage unit facility. We really didn't have a partner to kind of guide us through that, so we got nervous and didn't do it last minute. We were going to develop a luxury neighborhood, and then that didn't work out with the land. So kind of like these things that would have required our money didn't work out. So then we're like, okay, now we can just focus on finding our own multifamily, and that's kind of how we started getting our own lead deals.
Right. Yeah. Maybe you're busy with family. I would say that's a good thing. If you're spending time with your family, keep doing that and give something else up, sleep or whatever. I didn't sleep much at all, but there were nights I slept basically no hours, right? Not ideal, not good for health either, but a lack of experience. A lot of people will come and say, hey, I don't have the experience. Learning the business actually is not difficult. These people that sit around act like it's so difficult to do multifamily. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's just new concepts, surrounding yourself around people that know what they're doing, but it's not rocket science at all. And then fear. Anytime you're gonna do something new, you're gonna have fear. I don't care what it is. So you should be more fearful of not meeting your dreams, really. And I love this quote from Elon, one of the few guys actually in the world that I'm like, he's a man, in my opinion, personally. But he says many people will panic to find chargers when their phone dies. I'm guilty of that. But won't panic to find a plan before their dreams die. And I love that. And reality is that we hear about it. I mean, Tammy asked her dad if he had any dreams. This was probably 4 or 5 years ago. And he said, no, I have no dreams. That's pretty sad, I mind. He probably did have dreams. He just compromised and said, now I have nothing. Or your dream could be to whatever it is. And you're like, well, you know what? Maybe I don't need whatever X is. I'm going to settle for something less. So don't give up on your dreams. Why are some people more successful than others? Number one, I would say, is taking action. So, unfortunately, people have probably been coming here for, multiple years in a row, and they're sitting here today again and saying they're in the exact same position they were 3 or 4 years ago at this conference. It's because they haven't taken action usually. So, and some people will leave here and can completely transform their life by taking action. So that's number one. But they collaborate and connect with people. When we ask people on our group coaching program, what are the number one reasons they believe they're successful, it has to do with connecting with people in the group and building relationships. Everyone tells you it's a relationship business, but it really is, so you need to do that. Easy to work with. Fact is, people want to work with people that are not pushovers, but easy to work with and pleasant. Focus on what they're good at. I'll talk about different ways to get involved in. When people they'll come and say, I need to do, all aspects of the deal. That's okay. Typically, people don't have the experience to do that or, the time to learn. But I'll talk about different ways you can get involved as a general partner in a deal. And you might be surprised that I didn't require any money to do it either. Have an accountability group. This is number one. Tamiel doesn't like accountability groups sometimes, but I'm kind of more into that. Just kind of an inside joke between us. We had the same fitness trainer, and Tammy lasted 3 weeks and then stopped checking in with him. So, but she looks great.
There are
it's amazing.
reasons for that too.
Yeah,
so.
I couldn't ask for a better wife or a business partner for sure. Have partners with strong track record, and they follow a plan and monitor it, which Tamiel will talk about, and they add value to others. And again, I'll talk about ways you can add value.
But having something of value, like a certain skill set, isn't always enough. People have to want to also like you and want to do business with you, right?
So we have a saying, I have a saying sometimes, like no jerks allowed, and it's not to be mean about it. Basically, people don't want to do business with people that are rude. They'll do it once and they'll never do it again. I have a partner from a long time ago, smart guy, actually had a lot of money. He actually had more experience when we started, but he was just so rude to everybody. Brokers literally hung up the phone on this guy, and I want nothing to do with that. So I stopped doing business with him because my reputation was getting tied to his. Our reputation in the marketplace, you can ask any broker, is unmatched, but it wouldn't have been if I kept doing business for that guy. So adding value, how can you get involved? There are a lot of ways to get involved. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but the first two and last two little asterisks, you don't require any money to get involved in these. So you can, if you like numbers, so if someone comes to me and says, hey, I'm an engineer, or I'm an IT guy, or whatever it may be, they're probably gonna like numbers for one, so they're really good at analyzing deals. If somebody more on the marketing or sales side, they're probably really good at finding deals, and then maybe on the capital side. You can bring capital to a deal, and I know there are attorneys in here. You can't just raise capital and get involved. You have to do other things. You can put earnest money down. A lot of people don't know this, but there are a lot of people that go out and do, let's say the average deal is $10 million for a first deal as an example, and you have to put $200,000 down earnest money. Some people don't have it. They're able to put in the sweat equity, get the job, build a relationship, they don't have that. So a lot of people put earnest money down and get part of the general partnership for doing that. Or you can actually sign the loan if you have a good balance sheet. So for 3 aspects for a loan, you have experience. If you don't have experience, then you don't qualify. You need net worth and also liquidity. So net worth is usually 100% of the loan amount. So if it's a $5 million loan, you need net worth of $5 million or more and $500,000 or more of liquidity. So those are other ways that people that have some capital can get involved in a deal. And there are a lot of opportunities to do that. And people can just do that. They don't have to get involved in other areas. And then the last one on the list is asset management. Asset management is essentially, you close a deal, and this person will be overseeing the property manager and then typically overseeing relationships with investors, communication, answering questions, distributing reports, those type of things. So someone that's like in operations really likes that. I would say 80% of the people that start doing a deal will say, I really think I'm going to be interested in asset management. And probably about 90% of them say they're not interested after they start doing it. So you really have to have the right aptitude for it. You need to be organized if you're not. and you need to have follow through. But some people are great at it, they love it, a lot of people don't like it, and they find out they can make a lot more money by going to do deals.
I also wanted to throw in a little bit too for couples out there who are trying to do this business together, just a little example how you can potentially work together with your spouse. Mark and I have completely different skill sets. He's very analytical, so obviously he's dealing with the numbers, the analysis. He's dealing with the brokers primarily. I did have conversations with brokers when we first started, but we have kind of separated distinct line of what his role is and what mine is. And mine is all the branding, marketing, community, relations with our membership. But I have kind of a different gifting, and he's learned to value that, and I've learned to value and respect his knowledge and the deal flow. So that's how we work together well as a team.
I guess just to kind of piggyback on that too, is that you mentioned about splitting it up. It took us about a year to really figure out how we're going to split things up. And then we also, which was harder for me actually initially because I was doing all different aspects, but also that on Tamiel's areas that she's responsible for, she can overrule me. She can decide, and I can give her my opinion, but she can overrule me. That was probably harder for me to get over than her, but that happens. So she tries to overrule me on my side too, but I don't let her do that. But if you sit here and say, a lot of people here have been able to change their life completely. We have people in our group that have changed their life completely. My life is completely transformed financially, but also from a personal standpoint with Tamiel, our kids, and then also with friends from just doing the business together. But I have a lot more flexible time. Before, my phone literally was in the room. I was doing IT, and Tamiel can vouch for this. I had people in India, Australia, Switzerland, US, and my phone would literally go off pretty much 24 hours a day. And there wasn't a single time in the 20 years of doing it where I didn't pick it up pretty much right away because I couldn't even sleep all the time because all I'm expecting is the phone to go off. Not a good way. I didn't have flexibility. I would take vacations. We'd go on cruises. We cruised a lot for whatever reason, and I would be literally working nonstop. And we had a lot of projects that end of the year, like, great, Christmas? No, not for me. I have calls on Christmas, because we're doing transition for IT from one system to the other on January, December 31st, right? So not very flexible. More time with family, financially free, whatever that means to you. It doesn't happen overnight. People look at other people and say, oh, that person maybe is financially free. They probably made a lot of mistakes to get there. Took them longer than maybe you might think to do that. And they probably had a lot more help than you might think as well to get there. Travel, if you like to travel. Give more to charities. Maybe you have aspirations. So I like cars for whatever reason. My dad really liked cars growing up. He never was able to buy them. Really, but I really liked cars, but I don't care about boats or things like that. But maybe you're like, I want a boat, I want a beach house, I want a mountain house. Don't give up on those things. All I would say, if that's your only goal is material things, you're gonna run out of significance pretty quickly because you're gonna find out you get those things and they're great. There's nothing wrong with getting things. I think you should be able to get things you want, but that's not gonna give you significance. I think you have to find a way to give back, whatever it is, to other people to help them become successful.
If you are looking for ways to have significant quality time with your family, like this picture here. Oh, sorry, that's not the right picture. That's better. Then apartment syndication might be for you.
So Carmen, she joined our group back in 18. She came to one of our events for mentoring. She actually sent me a text yesterday. She said she had the best time of her life, literally on a week vacation. She skis a lot. She was a skiing instructor. Her kids and her husband ski. She's there to leave her job, but she says in the blue there, I never could have imagined how it would have changed our financial picture so drastically in such a short period of time. She left her job. Her husband, she thinks in a year, will leave his job completely as well. But I will say she took massive action, and I would say this isn't to be sexist at all. It's much harder for women in the business. It is. It's a man's business for whatever reason. I've never closed a deal, over 90 deals with a woman. Every single deal has been with a man. So Carmen, some people were on the call, people in our group were here too. She brought it up on a call and said that she thinks she's at a big disadvantage because she's a woman, which I think she kind of is. But she went out there, traveled, she was traveling, her husband was working, she met brokers, and she got deals, and she's doing phenomenal in the business. Yeah, so the women can clap. So it's great. Yeah, she's good. So syndication helps you scale, but you need to track and monitor your progress as well.
So take football teams, for example. I don't follow the all the ins and outs of football, but what I do love about them is that every player has a specific role on the team. Just like a syndication general partnership group, like we teach people to go into their strengths, right? Just like the football players do. And each play they have is planned out and it's monitored. So if the play doesn't go well, then they go back in their huddle and they talk about it and they plan out their next steps. Syndication is kind of the same way. Your fitness goals are the same concept. If you want to see changes in your body, you've got to have some kind of goal. Write it down on paper. Tell your spouse what your goal is so there's somebody holding you accountable. If it's a coach or a fitness nutritionist, I have an appointment on Monday to work with a nutritionist to just tweak what I'm doing because I've gone as far as what I'm comfortable, so I'm going to use her knowledge to kind of tweak what I'm doing.
Suggestion, I probably wouldn't have your spouse be your accountability partner. I've tried that before.
I tell them all the time, like I'll get off the treadmill after 30 minutes after being in the gym a long time. I'm like, don't judge me. Just because your trainer told you to do an hour and I'm getting off in 30 minutes, like don't judge me.
So find somebody else to do it. But to monitor and make adjustments, so you know what, it doesn't matter what it is. The fitness is important because you need to be healthy for sure. Your business is important. But people, I'm sure in here, be like, well, maybe you want to lose weight or whatever it is. And I'll give you a little secret. Just consume less calories than you take in. So that's easy, right? So people know what to do, right? They know what to do. They might not know how to do it. That's the issue people have. Or they don't have the discipline, or they don't take the action, or somebody sitting in front here, I won't call out her name, but she knows who she is, a good friend of mine. She said she hasn't worked out for a little while, but I saw her 2 days ago here at the hotel, and I'm like, well, they have a gym here. And she actually went yesterday, right? That's true. So. But you might have to monitor it. So if you're like, well, I don't know what to do, I know I have to get less calories. Most people in the room probably have no idea how many calories they consume a day at all. You guess, right? And you might not have like a watch to monitor how many calories you burn. If you really want to do those things, it might say, oh, it's extreme. Get something to know how many calories you burn. You know, if you want to, I weigh my food and it's whatever, but people try to guess how much stuff weighs. It takes you 20 seconds to weigh your food. You know exactly what you're getting, right? So you have a plan. You have like the tools to do it, you have the action to do it, and you just have to go do it.
That's right. So just like you are monitoring your fitness or any other goal, you also have to monitor and track your business. Different things that you might want to monitor in your business is your financials, of course. It's kind of common for small business owners to blend your personal finances with the business finances. As long as you're not losing money, everything's good, so you don't track things as well as you should.
Which we've been guilty of this, by the way.
Absolutely.
We have. Even though you could say, hey, the revenue's been good, things like that, we've been guilty of not really tracking our business.
So if you're not really good with QuickBooks or other similar tools, hire a bookkeeper who can help you load everything in the system and track it for you and print out reports and tell you what's good, what's bad, and are you seeing growth, or do you have too many expenses that you need to drop? So just monitor your finances. Deal flow, there's a gazillion and one deals out there. Which deals have you looked at? Which ones worked out? Why did they not work out? Other deal flow ideas you might want to monitor is maybe different team members who are helping you do different aspects of the deal. So just have some kind of dashboards that are kind of tracking everything so you can see what's working and what isn't. Your website. So the website, branding, marketing kind of all go together, right? But your website is there to let other people know what you do. So even if all you do is have a landing page, that's at least something where people can search you. Just make sure all the color scheme and everything flows well. It clearly states what you do. The first half, so as soon as people load your website, people need to know what you do within 3 seconds, so they're not going to stay on the website. They don't like to look. Your branding, everything you do in life, behind the scenes, in public, at events, in private, everything is your brand. It's a small world. People will start noticing who you are in private and in public. So just make sure you are one consistent person. It's a lot easier in life if you are not hiding anything. So if everything you do is out in the open, it's a lot easier to be a consistent brand. So for our branding, what sets us apart potentially from other syndicators, other coaches, is we're strong on family values. So we make sure that's clear in our messaging, online, at our booths, everything we do has to be unique like that. You've got to stand apart. I'm sure Dan Hanford's presentation talked about being unique and standing apart and how somebody's going to see you different from another syndicator right next to you, right? So just think about who you are and what you value and make sure that comes through with everything you brand and market yourself with. For marketing, just think of like the dollars that you spend for advertising, whether it's social media or billboards or conferences. What are you doing to market yourself? Keep track of that. How much money are you spending? Did that social media ad work out? No, well, maybe I need to try, just for example, like mailers. It's kind of old school, but monitor what's working for you, what isn't working. Don't throw money at just like everything because you're hoping something's gonna stick. Kind of research the concept a little bit. Is that market, the audience who is reading that blog, listening to that podcast, going to that website, is that your avatar? Your avatar is the person you're ideally trying to attract. If your investor kind of looks like a 40-year-old engineer, well, that's kind of who you need to target in your marketing. Everything you put in copy and writing needs to be speaking to that 40-year-old engineer. It helps if you're trying to target one particular type of person versus trying to attract everybody, because then your message becomes a little unclear. Podcasts, if you don't have your own podcast, I do say it's a little bit more work than you think it's going to be. So if you don't have the time or the energy or the strong desire to do your own podcasts, find ways to be on other people's podcasts. Once you start doing deals, everybody's kind of looking for new podcast guests. So you can even find a service who can help you get on other podcasts. But be able to track which podcasts worked well for you. If somebody reaches out to you on your website and says, hey, I found you through Big Dog's podcast or something like that, right? Then, oh, okay, that was a good move to be on that podcast. Maybe you try to be on that podcast again. And then, of course, we talked about fitness. It's important to monitor and get involved and think about your fitness for many reasons. But in general, without your health, what good is your wealth?
So you could have a plan for all those things, and I'll use the fitness example just again to kind of, so if you buy a membership and you buy clothes and you show up at the gym and you have a workout partner and they work out and you stand there and watch them the entire time, probably not going to get a lot of results, right? Or if you actually even do work out, where you're following a plan that's junk, essentially. I'm sure people that work out see the same people year after year and there's actually no change in them at all because they're probably doing things wrong. In fact, I used to work out with a guy, kind of a little funny thing, where he was a big guy, really, really good build and things like that. And he would, people would basically copy what he would do on a regular basis. So he would just play jokes. He would go over to like the cable machine and do like a hula hoop with the cable machine. And sure enough, somebody else would go over there and do the exact same exercise he's doing. Obviously no benefit to it, right? So follow the right people. So 17 tips and lessons learned. Doesn't seem to want to go back here.
There we go.
And there are a lot more than these, obviously, but meet brokers face to face. If you're going to try to buy deals and you're going to try to build relationships just on the phone with brokers, it's not going to work. You or someone on your team has to get on maybe a plane to go somewhere and actually meet people face to face. And when you do that and you say, hey, I'm going to come to wherever, Atlanta, I want to meet with you, bring you to coffee, no, don't do that. That's like a bad idea because you're wasting their time. They make no money taking you to coffee, right? You taking them to coffee. Find a deal that they have listed. They only make money if they sell a deal and say, I'm coming to Atlanta, I want to look at property, ABC Apartments, and tour it. Whether you're interested or not, doesn't matter, but they take you a lot more serious that way. When you're doing a property tour, do your homework. We have like 50 questions you can ask like on a property tour, but the brokers will put together an offering memorandum, which is a marketing material. You might have a conversation with them. My old partner from like years ago, we'd go look at a property and he would say, how many units is this? It's like, really, dude? Like, you're asking the broker how many units this is? Do your homework up front. You look pretty unsophisticated by doing that, and they think you're wasting your time. Engage third parties. This could be, if I'm going to submit an offer, I want to have a mortgage broker give me some terms for the loan, for example. I want to have an insurance quote. I want to have a property management engage. I want to have a tax consultant. The whole idea for your reputation is to be able to submit offers, and if it gets accepted, to move forward and not change that. If you don't follow those steps, in fact, we talked to somebody that doesn't follow these steps, someone kind of in the industry, and he kept saying all his offers were, he had to keep changing them because he wasn't doing any homework up front. Go slower, do those things up front. Be competitive. On the timelines, we're seeing a lot of hard money right now, which simply means when you sign the contract, usually 3 days after you sign, you have to put some sort of money hard. So let's say it's $500,000 earnest money, $150,000 hard. If you, as the buyer, walk away, you lose that $150,000. That's the market right now in most competitive markets. Partner with others who have a track record and don't argue the small things. Like I said, I've done over 90 deals. I've seen people argue over $5,000, $10,000 on a $20 million deal. It's a rounding error. Let it go. Just move on. Give yourself ample time to close. I don't know who's closing deals right now. We've been closing. We closed a lot of deals, like 24 deals last year. We have like 15 right now, either under contract or LOI. So a lot of deals. But lenders right now are really, really slow. So don't think you can get a deal done fast just because you can do it. You're not the only one doing it. You're relying on other people that you have zero control over. The lenders, I'm sure some in the room, they're difficult to work with. They take their own sweet time. Their legal teams are horrendous, in my personal opinion. It goes slow, and they don't really care if you miss your date. So make sure you have extensions. You pay for them, but make sure it's in the contract. Raise more money than you think. Advise investors. Don't just be like, I have this deal. Understand their goals. If the deal doesn't work for them, let them know that. They can come into another deal. Wire more money than the title. You're probably going to get a dozen closing statements, right? Settlement statements at the end. You see a number, $1.5 million. You wire in $1.5 million of title, and then something changes. You need another $20,000. Now you're past the cutoff to do it. You're out of contract now. Seller can keep all your money and walk away if they want to. Wire more money. We've never not had a title company wire us back overages, so wire more. Make sure you're also available. We had some people that were driving around out of town, 3 of them, the day of closing, 45 minutes away from a bank. Be available on the day of closing. You're going to lose your money, and you're going to screw your investors potentially by doing it. Connect and follow up with people, roll with the punches. Things are going to happen. They just are. You're going to have to be frustrated, just go through it, do the right thing, even if it's hard.
As you start growing your business, you are eventually going to have to hire a team. So be sure the people you hire you also trust, because you're kind of giving them over control. It's kind of hard to give over control something that you've considered your baby. So just make sure you trust your team and give them room to fail, because they will. They're not going to maybe be as much of a perfectionist as you might be. So just understand there's going to be mistakes and roll with the punches, like Mark said on that last slide. Monitor and manage your business. You can't improve what you don't track. My favorite tip of all times comes from the Road Less Stupid book. So if you've not read it, it's a great business book by Keith Cunningham. He says basically set time aside every single week for your thinking time to be able to business development. Think about your business and not just work in your business. The questions I like to ask, because there's a bunch of questions you can ask yourself each week during your thinking time, but what don't I see? What am I missing? And what skills do I personally need to learn to take my business to the next level? We wanted to leave you with one question to ask yourself: if what you are doing today is getting you closer to where you want to be tomorrow. So we have a few PDFs to offer you to help you continue your education. So you can either take a picture of the screen with a QR code, or you can go to our website at thinkmultifamily.com/BEC22. So if the QR code doesn't work, or you prefer the website, you can do that, or just come back to our booth and we'll help you get to that PDF page. We are also doing a giveaway. We have the MacBook Pro. So you can enter by entering your information on the Wova app giveaway section, or you can go visit our booth. We do have a sign on our booth that has a QR code that just lets you enter the drawing. But we're going to be trying to reach out to the winner at 2 o'clock. So if you have not entered the drawing, that'd be great. If you have any questions regarding anything we talked about today, we would love to see you in the back of the room at our booth. To your success, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.